Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322 and I wanted to make a video explaining the whole process of how to unlock how Special works on the PS5 and Series X versions of the game, as well as what those upgrades bring and what performance differences we might see from upgrading cars in that way. So first of all, the process of unlocking how Special works is pretty straightforward. You get a phone call from How initially, you go to pick up a Turismo Classic that he's upgraded himself, and you take that on a time trial. Now the time trial goes around sort of the hills and then back into the city, but it's not that difficult to beat. It takes about 5 minutes to complete, but you've got 8 minutes to do it, so it's fairly straightforward. So once you've done that time trial, you will unlock how Special works as that, and that the mod shop in the LS Car Meet becomes How's own specific mod shop where you can take other vehicles and upgrade them with specific upgrades. Now there's a list of 9 cars in the HSW area where you can see it on the laptop, and that will no doubt increase over time, but there's a list of specific cars that you can take and get HSW upgrades on. You can't just do it with every car in the game. The process for doing that is basically exactly the same as Benny's vehicles. So the only difference is that the cars don't become separate custom variants. For example, when you upgrade a Nero or an Italy GTB, a Benny's, those vehicles turn into the Nero Custom and the Italy GTB Custom, which is a separate vehicle entirely in the handling files and in your garage and all that kind of stuff. It gets a new name, it's a brand new vehicle entirely. Upgrading at How's gives you access to new performance upgrades, but the vehicle remains its original self. So a Turismo Classic with HSW upgrades is still a Turismo Classic, just like it always has been. It just has more performance upgrades available. However, for all intents and purposes, they are basically separate vehicles because they've got more performance, more upgrades, and you can also disable that performance as well, basically putting it back to its original state, what the Turismo Classic would be. So the new S95 that you get from migrating your character, that's free, already has these HSW upgrades, and your first vehicle that you take into HSW to upgrade will be free as well to get those upgrades. So for example, I took the Turismo Classic in, that's the first vehicle that I took in, that was free because I'd done the time trial, but after that all of the other HSW upgrades will cost money. For example, the weaponized Ignis costs around 500k to upgrade, and the Sentinel XS costs a whopping 1.3 million, probably because it's such a cheap car to begin with. Now, adding these new HSW upgrades will give new performance to these vehicles, primarily in straight line speed, so acceleration and top speed. There's no way to further increase traction because you do get access to extra HSW spoilers, but all spoilers give exactly the same traction bonus, so as long as it's not the stock spoiler, you can use any and you'll still get the same traction bonus. So these HSW upgrades don't improve cornering speeds of these cars, but they do substantially improve straight line speeds because you get access to new HSW turbo options, a new transmission option, a new engine options, braking. Basically, they're all just sort of extra options for brakes, engine, transmission, turbo and suspension that basically just add an extra level beyond what was normally possible and previously possible. But like I said, those performance differences can be disabled in races. So in a race lobby, there's an option at the bottom that says HSW upgrades either enabled or disabled. If you set it to disabled, the car will become its regular previously fully upgraded self. It will have turbo, level 4 engine, level 4 brakes, level 4 transmission, whatever the maximum used to be. If it's enabled, then you'll be able to race it with all of these HSW additions and upgrades that you've applied enabled as well. And the top speed is a substantial increase. The straight line speed in general is a huge increase on these vehicles in comparison to what it was like previously to what it is like with these HSW enabled upgrades. It's basically, they're just in a completely different class entirely, as you can see in the comparison. It's just insane. So, you know, lap time and top speed testing will come for all these new vehicles, and in both HSW and non-HSW configurations as well. So keep an eye on the channel and subscribe if you haven't already to be updated, and set the notification bell and all that kind of stuff. I will be working on it over the next few days, but we'll see the top speeds of all these new vehicles, and it's going to be quite substantial. We're basically going to be seeing things that go faster than the Pariah across the board. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, keep an eye on the channel. I will be uploading lap time and top speed testing videos for these new vehicles, but I think I'll focus on top speed first because it is such a drastic change, and then we'll look at lap times and see where they fit in with the overall list and the overall classes. So yeah, that's just a quick video. I wanted to explain how it all works and how to get access to these vehicles and what it all means. Keep an eye on the channel because I'll be doing testing videos over the next few days. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.